Now, does anybody in here have a valid reason for leaving this classroom? Timothy.
I got to go pick up my daughter.
You're excused.
You get a whole lot of something with Farmers Policy Perks. So much, I'm going to have to speed things up. You can get the Farmers Signal app, and that could get you up to 15% off your auto policy. That's just for using the app and driving like the normal speed limited hearing, full stop, making lane change, signaling human being you are. Get a whole lot of something with Farmers Policy Perks. Start with a quote by calling 1-800-FARMERS.
We are farmers. Bum, 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 bum.
The Armchair Quarterback Show. Weekdays. Coast to coast, Southern Sports Talk Radio. Your first choice for sports talk, live from the First Coast.
The mullet isn't just a hairdo. It is definitely a lifestyle. You're carrying on like a legacy, like your last name, you know? The people that did this in the 80s, they weren't doing it just because, oh, they thought it was a cool hairdo. No, they were doing it because they were badass. You know, if someone asks if you want extra mayonnaise, you have to say yes. This is bringing back like the Paul Bunyan. Men, we don't shave our legs. We have chest hair. But yeah, that's the whole lifestyle of the mullet.
Armchair.
Big news and the big games covered in the Big Ten by the Armchair Quarterbacks all year long.
Averaging just under 38 on 44 kicks this year. Nice high kick, got a little wind under it, and it runs Howard back. But it's a little look at that. Oh my goodness. One man. Goodbye. Hello, Heisman. Well, the ball is actually a little short of the 1 yard line now. It is fourth down, the final play, unless they can stick it in the end zone. Andre Johnson, Roscoe Parrish, and Kellen Winslow, and Dorsey under pressure. Throws it. Incomplete. The Buckeyes win.
They went to Hickman, and Penn State, well-timed blitz. LeVar Arrington, the All-America candidate, came across.
Well, it was a great athletic play by LeVar Arrington. As you see, he times his blitz very well, leaves his feet, and hits Hickman in the backfield.
Big Ten football covered in the Southeast by the Armchair Quarterbacks.
That's the sound of NyQuil Severe hard at work. NyQuil Severe is the best sleep with a cold medicine. No tossing and turning, just rest and recovery. So you're ready to take on tomorrow. For powerful relief of your worst cold and flu symptoms, try NyQuil Severe. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head, best sleep with a cold medicine. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
Hi, this is Britney Spears.
What up, this Jay-Z.
This is Jennifer Lopez. Armchair.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong. You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong.
Welcome to the jungle. Jim Rome on the air, noon to 3 Eastern, only on CBS Sports Radio.
Hey, Jacksonville, winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com/radio to save 50% on your first service. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com/radio today and get a lawn to be proud of.
We have been hoodwinked, bamboozled, and flat out deceived.
There's something kind of about a kid that's never played baseball.
Make sure to listen to the Armchair Quarterbacks. Good enough for us down here in the bayou. Go Tigers and the Armchair Quarterbacks.
It's morning.
Yes, and what a lovely morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We've talked the whole night through.
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Armchair.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks, CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good morning, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. The number of lawsuits against Deshaun Watson reached 16 on Tuesday. The quarterback's lawyer, Rusty Hardin, said in a statement that his law firm has strong evidence showing that one of the lawsuits alleging sexual assaults is false and that it, quote, calls into question the legitimacy of the other cases as well, unquote. Hardin is now on record saying he believes that any allegation that Deshaun Watson forced a woman to commit a sexual act is completely false. Last week, NFL spokesperson Brian McCarthy said the matter is under review and pertaining to the league's personal conduct policy, and the Texans said in a statement they would also stay in close contact with the NFL during the investigation. No punishment has been put forth as the case is still forming. The Washington football team name has gone from being a generic placeholder to one that will be strongly considered as a permanent one as the organization inches along in the rebranding. According to President Jason Wright, Wright stressed that there is a leading contender for the new name, and it's the Washington football team. Wright had previously said and reiterated during an interview on Tuesday that the Washington football team will remain in 2021. He said the permanent name would be in place for 2022. Right now, the organization announced in July that it would retire the former name, the Redskins, which it had used for 87 years. The organization will continue to accept submissions on the name and logo through April 5th of 2021. We've got a triple header in the NHL on NBC Network tonight. Ducks and Wild at 5:30 Eastern. Then it's the Sabres taking on the Penguins at 8 o'clock. And at 10:30 Eastern, the Kings battle the Sharks. And in the NBA, ESPN has its own doubleheader. Celtics at the Bucks at 7:30 Eastern. And at 10 o'clock, it's the New Jersey Nets going out west to take on the Utah Jazz. And if you're looking for baseball action, there's a load of it on the MLB.TV streaming app. Mets and Cardinals at 1 o'clock, along with Phillies Tigers, Braves Pirates, Blue Jays Yankees, Twins versus the Rays. All of those games are a 105 first pitch. Also televised today at 4 o'clock Eastern. A's, White Sox, Royals, Angels, and Orioles versus Red Sox at 6 p.m. Eastern. The nightcaps at 9:10, you've got the Indians versus D-backs, 9:40 Cubs versus Mariners, and at 10:05, it's the Padres versus the San Francisco Giants. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for more of the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show and YouTube Live. Please like, subscribe, and share our show today. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast. Good morning. It's time to wake up, y'all. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterback Show. We're here weekdays on CBS Radio, YouTube Live, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. The Armchair Quarterback Show, your first choice for Southern sports talk. Good morning, Mr. Justin Waller.
Good morning. I don't know much, but I know one thing. With legal sports betting in Tennessee, I guarantee you the NHL will be responding to Tim Pill's hot mic moment last night.
I don't know much, but I know one thing. You pretty much stole my intro, so I'll just leave it at that. What the hell was that guy doing?
I don't know, man. I can't wait. It's always been an unspoken rule, but to hear it spoken is, not very good.
And, of all the people to be berating someone for being caught on a hot mic, we're doing it to someone. That's all I got. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks.
I think we should use the manual. I don't need a manual. I need a pair of wire strippers, a hammer, and a beer.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man with a groove on his head.
Hey, howdy, hi, top of the morning to you. Welcome to the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show. I'm Mac McGee sitting alongside Justin Waller. Justin, how are you this morning, sir?
I'm doing great, Mac. Short week for me. I got that short timer syndrome. Man, I'm just getting ready for the tournament this weekend and this vacation looming.
I bet, man. Where y'all going again?
We're going to be spending most of our time in Grand Junction, Colorado.
Now,
the Utah border side. I'm going to be traveling over to Moab quite a bit and checking out some of the sites there.
So, are y'all going out there to ski?
No, not at all.
Okay.
No. This guy's done that one time, and I don't think I'm allowed back at a ski resort because the last time a Big Blue beached well tried to get off the ski lift, and they had to keep shutting the machine down for the fat guy to get up. Well, first I had to take my skis off because anybody that's gone skiing knows you just don't pop right back up after you fall. You have to get your unathletic fat self into a position to where you can pop your skis off, then stand up, then try and find somewhere to sit down or some poor soul to help you put them back on. It was painful, and if you've been skiing, you know, luckily I didn't have to rent a lot of equipment, just had the skis and poles. I had taken coveralls with me, but man, them ski lift prices are expensive, and just to do that, and it was torture. And the lift operator's like, buddy, you got to figure this out. I can't keep stopping the thing. So I just sat down at the bar, and that was the end of my skiing career. So no, we're not going skiing. Long story short.
That is, I don't even know how it came up in conversation a few weeks ago. Me and my wife were talking about that very thing. I told her, I said, that's the one thing I know I'll never do is snow ski, because it never appealed to me. That's just being a Florida boy, you know, you just look at it, you're like, I don't know, dude, I really don't like snow. What the hell? I want to fly towards it. I want to spend my off time going towards snow. And so it's always dumbfounded me that people actually do that. That people want to spend their downtime in the snow. I get it; it's popular. It's just not for me. I understand everything else, being on the water, everything else that people wouldn't want to do. But that's one things I just know I will never do. I have water skied. I don't see me doing it again anytime soon, because kind of like what you're talking about, man. You're a fat kid, man.
Yeah, water skiing, man, that better be a big boat. That's all I got to say.
Dude, water skiing is death-defying. I mean, last time I did it was years ago. And I was in good shape, and I was young. That's the other key thing. It's not just being in good shape, but I was young. I feel like I could survive if I was a fat young kid. But man, when you're a fat old kid, ooh, that's going to turn out bad. I would much rather be on the beach somewhere, drinking a cold one, watching people, than actually participating myself. Kind of like nowadays, how I talk about how much I miss the game of playing football and basketball. That's a bunch of horse crap is what that is, because I miss what the game was like when I was that young and I was playing. I wouldn't want to do it now. Justin, I went to the gym repeatedly for the first time since the pandemic this last little less than a week, and I've jogged twice. Okay, back-to-back days, Monday, Tuesday. Dude, I'm telling you right now, I am feeling it today. And I was bragging yesterday that I was like, man, I can't believe that I'm not sore. I was thinking about it after I got off air. I was like, man, this is great. And I went and boy, I pushed that envelope one too many times, and man, I got home. I felt like I got hit by a truck. That's why it took me so long to text you and Sean the details of the show, man, because I just felt like I was hit by an absolute, I felt like I was in a car wreck, and now everything's sore. But I got to get to it because if I don't, Doc says I'm going to die, and I don't really want to see if that's true or not.
We don't need that. And if it needs you for motivation, I've been walking daily myself. Speaking of funny exercise, I tried to break down a defensive game of 21 with a 10-year-old yesterday. And let's just say after about the first 5 defensive possessions I played, and I finally just went where I just turned around and ran and tried to just get that out of here at the goal because I felt that hammy getting tense every time I'd squat down. So I feel your pain, brother, but we'll struggle through this together.
Yeah, and I thought I would be a little. I thought the reason why I wasn't sore Tuesday morning when I woke up was because I'd been walking so much on the treadmill here. I was like, you know what? That's probably what it is. No, I just hadn't really done it. I pushed it a few little further yesterday, and man, it's my calves that were on fire. I mean, I was like, God bless. Anyways, we'll move on from that. Major League Baseball. There has been some news that popped up, and I don't see the article now, so I'm gonna have to hunt for it for a second. But evidently, Fernando Tatis was injured yesterday, and I'll pull up the article. I don't believe it's long term, but it is a setback considering we are officially a week away from opening day eve. Here it is. He was removed with left shoulder discomfort, and they're going to look at it. So there is no actual word on what's happening with the brand new face of baseball. I mean, I put him up there with Mike Trout and a couple of other people as far as being just as much of the face of baseball as any other player. And that wouldn't be a good start for the Padres, and I don't think it's a good start for the Major League Baseball season. So hopefully he can make it back for opening day.
Heck yeah. You worried about all that? I'm worried about my fantasy baseball team. He better be back.
Do you have him on one of your teams?
Yes. He's in one of the two keepers. I think it's the dynasty. I don't believe it's the roto.
No, I got him in the dynasty.
Then it must be the roto I have.
Okay. Yeah, I drafted him his rookie year. I just heard about this kid. I really wasn't sure if he was, because you never know if he's as good as advertised. I do that with a lot of players, and then like you watch them for 2 weeks, they make the majors. You're like, what the hell was I drafting? Going off of what's that goofy 247 Sports Padres article? Like, okay,
it's like Colby Allard. I'll throw that one out there. I remember that draft.
Yeah. It's like, you read one article from a 19-year-old sophomore who's just trying to kill time in his dorm room, and you think you really stumbled across something, and then you go out and you're like, this sucks. This guy sucks. I can think of a number of players that I've done that with, but yeah, I've got him on that dynasty team that also has Trout. It's kind of funny. Sean and I are going to talk more fantasy next hour, but it's funny to me how this year Mike Trout's an afterthought in fantasy sports, fantasy baseball. And what I mean by that is that for years he was always the number one guy, right? And now most have Tatis or Acuna. One of the young studs, Soto, much well above Trout. We finally got our 8-team snake league filled yesterday, and I generated the draft, and I swear, man, you would think that the freaking commissioner every once in a while could roll the dice and get the best, one of the top picks, and every damn time I'm sitting at number 6 again. I'm like, what the living hell, man? What in the living hell?
They just know you have the power to change the rules throughout the season if you need to help yourself. So they're not worried about your number 6 draft.
You really can't, because once the season starts, there's only very little things that you are allowed to change, because they don't want you to all of a sudden make home runs worth 1,000 points, and you've done nothing but draft a bunch of home run hitters. So forgot to tell you about that little ditty right there. But I swear I feel like I'm always somewhere around the 5th or 6th pick, and it's just the worst. I'd rather be 7th or 8th in an 8-man draft, or put me towards the top, somewhere where I know that I'm drafting, and then it's going to be bam, bam. 6th pick, there's no telling I'm probably going to be forced to draft a pitcher or something first. So anyways, we'll get more into that in the next hour. But that Tatis injury, man, that could be brutal as we hit the first quarter of the Armchair Quarterbacks. I haven't even looked at the opening day national television schedule, but I would be willing to bet that San Diego Padres are somewhere involved in that. Wouldn't you? As much as they are, I'm about to pull it up here in a second, but I've got
as much as they've invested off season and everything they've got going on, I would absolutely think they would be one of your late night marquee matchups. I mean, you assume the Dodgers are probably going to be in there as well. I don't know who their matchup is.
As a baseball fan, I'm really, really hoping that the Dodgers and Padres are starting the season off together. I mean, that would be incredible. I'm pulling
it's
it
Dodgers at Rockies and D-backs at
really?
Padres.
Really?
Third is opening day, correct? Or my day off.
The first, but you got the series right. Dodgers and Rockies, that's going to be on ESPN. Mets and Nationals, that's going to be on ESPN. A's versus the Astros, that's going to be on ESPN. Padres are playing the freaking Diamondbacks. That's a bad job by Major League Baseball. Opening day, they need to have the marquee matchups as much as possible. I'm not saying you have to go full chalk and have Yankees, Red Sox, but I'm just pointing out the fact that, let the bums play the bums. They're going to be excited about opening day regardless. Atlanta's playing the Phillies, okay? And even if you don't have, if you're not in the Atlanta area or you don't, I don't see okay. So that game's going to be on ESPN Plus. So they're offering that because the first game is Blue Jays Yankees. That's a good matchup. The Blue Jays had a great offseason. I like that. Braves Phillies is the 3:00 game. That's going to be on the Plus. And then at 4:00, the actual network is going to be the Dodgers game. Now, I'll be honest with you. They probably should have flippity flopped that. They probably should have put Braves Phillies on ESPN and put the Dodgers Rockies on the Plus. Because honest engine, man, I know they're defending world champions, but they're playing the freaking Rockies. Major League Baseball should not have opened. The Dodgers should be at home playing someone in their division, preferably the Padres. But
I agree. I would have liked to have seen that as the marquee, or at least put it with the White Sox Angels. I will say that to be the standalone televised game, it looks like that's going to be the nationally televised one. White Sox at Angels is going to be a good game.
That's another great one. Yeah, I wonder if it's because, although I don't know what the rules are in Oakland, I do believe I heard that California is going to allow a little bit of fans in the stands. So I wonder if that is because they're expecting A's fans to give the old Bronx cheer to the Astros. But that had more flavor to it last year than it does this year. So I don't know. I think it was a bad job.
The fans still haven't had a crack at the Astros.
They haven't.
They have not had been able to speak their piece. So it's been an interesting season.
I'm with you. I would have rather seen the season start off with Angels versus White Sox. It's a marquee matchup. That's Los Angeles versus Chicago. So you get two of the bigger cities involved. And to be honest with you, that 4:00 Dodgers game just doesn't do it for me. I mean, Dodgers Rockies, who wants to see that? So it won't matter.
Rays Marlins interest me in that. Mets Nationals, Sox Angels. I mean, I like a couple of these series.
Now that's a great opening day series. Rays versus Marlins, right?
Yeah,
that's the kind of stuff you want to see.
That's what you should have seen West Coast. And I mean, hopefully maybe it is the attendance and stuff. San Diego's at home and the Angels are at home. I guess that means the Brewers or the Dodgers can't have that many home games in LA. I have no clue.
The Dodgers are in Los Angeles. Anaheim is a good drive away from Los Angeles. So
I forget we're not the Los Angeles Angels anymore, of Anaheim.
Right. Well, everyone thinks of them being in the city of LA, but they're really not. They're kind of like, it's a little farther away than what Murphy.
Like the Jets and Giants aren't in New York City.
Yeah.
Similar to that distance wise.
But they are still both in the same stadium. The Angels are more akin to to give it your relevance a little farther away than what Murfreesboro is to Nashville.
Okay.
So
I didn't realize it was that far out.
Yeah, so I don't really see that being a deterring factor. I just think they screwed up, to be honest with you. They're not even at home. If you got to put them against the Rockies, whatever, but they're not even at home.
I mean, they're just playing for a piece of metal, remember? So, I mean,
that's true.
When your commissioner believes that, what do you think you get out of the scheduling department?
And I could honestly see if you were playing at home opening day Dodgers and you gave them the Rockies because you want to guarantee the Dodgers get a W to get the feel good. You know, you're going to get your rings today. Da 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 da. Let's not let's not start this whole thing off with taking on the Yankees or something. You know, let's work our way. Okay, I totally get that. I would still prefer to see Dodgers Giants, right? Before if you're going to give them a bottom of the barrel team, give me Dodgers Giants. Don't give me Dodgers Rockies. You know, let the Rockies play the Pirates. I feel like there's a good
or the Mariners.
Yeah,
exactly. Why are you sending the Giants up there?
Yeah, exactly. What the hell is going on there? We look forward to opening day. There's a lot of storylines that we haven't been able to get into because of all the basketball and everything. But you know, for instance, Ohtani is he going to be able to be a full-time starting pitcher, or are they going to do kids gloves? I think what they should do is what they do over in Japan and Korea and whatnot. Give him his day that he pitches, because over there you only pitch once a week. There's less games. And so I would say make Ohtani your Sunday pitcher, right? He always pitches on Sunday. And outside of that, you're going to play DH or outfield, whatever the case may be, because I don't know if you want him out there playing in the outfield the day after he pitches. That might be injury risk because, you know, who knows what. But I have heard a lot of theories, and I think the best one that I like would be to tell Ohtani to hell with it. You're not going to be a starting pitcher. You cannot devote your entire week to focusing on your next start, to working on your pitches. We're going to make you a reliever and you're going to be our DH. And we can pull you in, or we put you in the outfield and we make you a reliever. So we can just pull you back and forth, which would be really dangerous, wouldn't it? If you could find another pitcher that could relieve, that could play outfield, and that's the lefty and Ohtani's the righty, and you just go bebopping back and forth. I mean, that would be insane. What say you on Ohtani for the 2021 season?
Twofold. I mean, I think the Angels need him as a starting pitcher. I don't think they have the depth on their roster. They need that out of him.
Okay, so if you're looking at because I was looking at from the player's perspective, but if you're looking at from the Angels' perspective, so do you say you're not going to be a hitter? You're going to be a starter.
There's no way I'm putting him in that box and letting him take high heat. And I mean, let me get him one of these big divisional games, and we have some rivalries pop up, or he strikes somebody out with some dirty stuff and stares them down, and we get a little heat the next time he comes up there. I can't put him in that position to 3 or 4 times a night go to the plate.
Maybe you use him as like a pinch hitter, and okay, maybe once a week you DH. Okay. But all in all, okay, because the thing is,
I don't want him running the bases. I don't want him sliding. I don't want to see any of that Max Fried, Ron Washington round third and slide head first into the plate mess. I mean, I do not want to do that. If you're the organization. Yeah. Makes you cringe, doesn't it?
Lay it all out, man. It's April 17th. We need that run. To hell with the future. Come on,
Ohtani. The first spring training game, the first base coach and the third base coach did it with Ronald Acuna.
Come on, Ohtani. I want to see you trucking JT Real Muto at the plate.
Let's pull a hammy so then we can do neither. We can't bat or throw. How about that? No, I don't. I mean, I don't. I get it. I think it's really awesome. I think it's cool when pitchers hit dingers. I mean, there's nothing better than seeing Mad Bum when he used to knock one. I love seeing Ohtani hit the long ball. It's fun. But if I'm the Angels, there's no way I can do that. I need an ace. I need an ace that I know is a guaranteed win when I throw him out there.
And the problem with him is, too, to your point, he's a right-handed pitcher. He bats left-handed, which means his pitching arm is exposed.
It's up front. Yeah.
So, yeah, that. So you say you'd rather have – say, I would rather have him as a hitter and a reliever, but I think you would have had to attack the offseason differently. So I see what you're saying. Because of the way their roster is built, you need him as a starter. So I say then you've got plenty of pop in your lineup. Don't worry about him as a hitter. He's a good hitter. But let's not kid ourselves and think that he's like Mike Trout back there or Anthony Rendon.
No, I mean, if it's extra innings or bottom of the ninth, it's last at bat, you got somebody up, pitchers coming. I mean, you need to make a move. Let's say you're interleague. Whatever you need to do or the situation that arises, but you need him to come in and be that pinch hitter. Yeah, I'm cool with that at that point. I don't think late in the game, a hitter with that caliber against the back of a bullpen, yeah, probably. I like that favorable matchup. I mean, and that reliever at that point, you're closing a game out tie. You're not looking to get even or knock a starting pitcher out of the game at that point. So yeah, that's a situation where I would be fine with him hitting, but every single day going up being your DA, even in a weekly, because of the practice he has to put in and the batting cage reps. I mean, what does that do to his shoulder and back long term? I need that that start for him every fifth, sixth day.
So he has compiled a total of just over 254 games over the last 3 years. He's got a 269 batting average. He's averaged, let's take last year out of account because it's too hard there was such a short season. He's averaged about 20 home runs. And it's funny, I was sitting there thinking to myself, I think in his best year, he might be able to hit 300 and he's around 20 home runs. So I was actually on point in my head with him. But he'd actually have to raise his batting average quite a bit. So he's around, and he had a really bad batting average last year. So if you do the 2 years prior, he's 285. So that's solid. 285 hitter with 20 home runs. That's a solid hitter. And I think that is his ceiling. I think it's more important as to have him as a starter, because I think he could be elite as a starter.
Here's the problem I have is, let's see, in spring so far, he's batting 600 with a team leading 4 home runs at the plate, including going 1 for 3 with a single and a stolen base and a 6-4 loss to the Rangers on Tuesday. What in the heck is your superstar doing stealing bases in spring training games?
You got me on that one.
That's why I don't want him on the base pass. I mean, if he's not going to cut it down, then you've got to be, as the manager, say, hey, I'm not going to put you in that situation. Don't be stealing bases.
I'm trying to pull up his here we go. His pitching stats. First of all, he's got a WAR of 6 on pitching. That's pretty damn good. That's elite is what that is. He had a terrible last few outings in his career, but we'll go with 2018 and 2019, which were full seasons for him. Did he pitch? What the hell is going on here with his?
Sunday, he went double duty against the Padres. He struck out 5 over 4 innings. He actually hit 101.9 on the mound. Dude, there's no way I want him batting.
Okay, 2019, he did not pitch because of injury. 2020, he pitched, I think he pitched 1 game. Yeah, he pitched 1 game winning. So we'll throw that one out. 2018, he was a 3.31 ERA, 51 innings pitched before his injury. And what was his strikeout rate? I don't have his Ks in front of me for some reason. They don't. Oh, there we go. 51 innings, 63 strikeouts. Give me that all day long, and I'm not worried about his batting. His batting can be used in maybe once or twice a week, but he's got to focus. If he's going to be your ace, he's got to focus. Because there's more to it, y'all, than just going out there and pitching every 5 days. You have to go over to be an elite starter. You have to go over every single scouting report, how you're going to face your next start, and then also there's also the actual physical part of it, stretching yourself out before and after your pitches. We got to take a break. Sean O'Toole is on the way, but we'll get more into this as the season goes on. But man, you have sold me on the fact that they definitely need to make him a pitcher, because a starting pitcher, mainly because how the roster is set this year. I think long term, I would put my money in starting pitching and say, we don't need a closer. We got this guy. But
you could transition him to that and have him a back of your rotation guy. But right now you're built for the starter. Like I said, start adding pieces if that's what you'd like to have long term is this mega star DH. Then yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I agree. We'll be back in a flash on the Armchair Quarterbacks.
KISSMYASS spells kiss my ass.
You'll be the gut, or you haven't got style.
Sports Talk Radio. You either got or you haven't got style. Tune in weekdays here on the Armchair Quarterbacks, CBS Sports Radio. ACC football covered like no other here on the Armchair Quarterback.
Against the blitz, touchdown Florida State. Preston scores the touchdown, and now it's Bowden's decision, and he sends Mowry onto the field right away. Danny Cannell is the holder. Mowry ties it. This game is over. A 31-31 tie. A 31-31 tie.
A deep throw by Lawrence, a lot of contact. Justin Ross broke free from it. He's down in the end zone. Touchdown, Clemson.
Justin Ross, a freshman wide receiver, big, rangy, and Trevor Lawrence knows, throw it up against that single coverage, give him a chance to make a play on a 50-50 ball.
If you're a fan of the ACC, pull up an armchair. You're home. Weekends in the fall just got a hell of a lot better. Saturday mornings, it's Dixie Football Nation, 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. We talk SEC, ACC, the Big Ten, and more. It's the only true Southern football kickoff show. You don't want to miss it. 8 to 9 Eastern Saturdays. The Armchair Quarterbacks have got you covered all football season long.
There are no flags on the field. It's a miracle. Tennessee has pulled a miracle.
If you're looking for gifts or stuff for yourself from all teams, from all sports, it's MVP Collectibles, the St. Augustine Outlets Mall. Suite 245 across from the food court, MVP Collectibles has all 32 NFL teams, every SEC, every ACC, teams from the Big Ten, and 10 different Major League Baseball teams. That's MVP Collectibles. It's where the Armchair Quarterbacks can be found just before game day to get our man cave popping no matter what team you love.
You go to hell. You go to hell and you die. I'm going to find out who you are.
No, I don't think you can. Okay.
Welcome back here to the Armchair Quarterbacks. This is what's happening in the world of sports. Alabama's Pro Day was yesterday. Mac Jones worked out for everybody. Joe Flacco signs a one-year deal with the Philadelphia Eagles, $3.5 million. And Pelicans, Nuggets, Suns, Knicks, 76ers, and Nets all win yesterday. If I didn't name your team, you're a loser. And in the NHL, the Predators which we'll talk about this in a second. They beat the Red Wings 2-0, who evidently have always been cheating by trying to get the refs on their side. And other winners in the NHL are the Blackhawks. Lightning beat the Stars. Tony, did you get that? The Lightnings beat the Stars. And the Devils take out the Flyers. Coyotes 5-4 overtime winners in a shootout over the Colorado Avalanche. And joining us on the show is Mr. Sean O'Toole. Sean, how the hell are you this morning, you cheating Red Wing bastard?
I'm not sure how the team that's been the worst team in the NHL for the last 5 years could be cheating, but okay.
I didn't think you're doing a good job of cheating.
I mean, the Tennessee Volunteers were cheating too. I mean, that's not a good point.
Exactly.
You can be horrible and still cheat.
It's funny. I think I ruffle some feathers of some people that I follow and vice versa on Twitter. A lot of FSU fans for obvious reasons. And not too long ago, they were talking about how great of a evidently Florida State's up very high in the pre-rankings of college football, the 2021-2022 college football recruiting class. Evidently, they've just been on fire. And I said, everyone needs to pump the brakes, man, because there might be some McDonald bags involved in this. So let's just calm down before we start, want to build a statue to Mike Norvell. And that guy, oh, no, man. I'm like, whatever, dude. Where there's smoke, there's fire. When you've sucked for the last couple of years, all of a sudden everyone wants to play for you. There's usually some reason why. You never know. But anyways, Sean, what the hell is going on here, man? You got a ref that wanted to make sure he regulated the Predators going into the second period.
Yeah, I saw something on my social media feed that he got caught on a hot mic saying something like it was a get back. It was a get even penalty. I'm like, what? I mean, that's something that's always been whispered about NHL refs, that there's such a thing as get even penalties, but to have a guy get caught on a boom mic saying it, I don't think he's going to be employed much longer, at least not by the National Hockey League's referee association. That's pretty rough.
Evidently, later on, someone released the actual full footage of it, and the actual full quote, and it's not the one that's going around. The one's going around is saying that, for people that missed it, I got to clean it up. But essentially, what he said was that I wanted to make sure to get a penalty on the Predators. And so that, there's some foul language, but that's essentially what he said. And so the problem with that is, first of all, what the hell? And then second of all, that's not actually what he said in full. Evidently, the end of that quote was because they were getting a little rowdy at the end of the first period. And he was trying to set a tone for the second period is essentially what he said. But that's not what's going around. What's going around is I had to get him. I was out to get him. And it almost makes it sound like, because his comment is something to the effect of, let me see here.
I think the greater
point wasn't much, but I had to get a blank penalty against Nashville early in and then you hear it fade to black. It's what he the finishing part of it is early in the second, because they were getting out of control in the first. What were we saying, Justin? Sorry.
So because you didn't officiate properly in the first, you now change the way you officiate the rest of the game. So the NHL is going to have a huge problem with this, because gambling is legal in the state of Tennessee. Going to be a huge uproar there. You can't have refs out on the ice doing opinionated calls, and it's been there for years. There's always been makeup calls, and I mean, the call he made was a flop on John Merrill that should have been embellishment, but he was making his makeup call. I mean, Arvidsson never even touched him. The announcers went off. I mean, but it happens all the time. I'm not calling out Detroit for this. I mean, it happens in the NBA. Every team does it every game. It's like holding in football. It happens. Yes. Every play has it. It's whether it gets called or not. But it was a full-blown makeup call. The problem is he got caught on a hot mic, and with legalized gambling going throughout multiple states, this is going to be a huge problem.
He's going to be gone.
Look, some questionable calls in the past. Tim Pill, that is. They later identified that he was the one. Kelly Sutherland was the other ref on the ice, but it's been identified that Pill was the mic that it was heard on. So I don't know what it means, but I got a feeling there'll be some retraining and probably won't be seeing him for a few games for a while.
I think you'll be seeing him in the Ontario Hockey League if you ever see him again on the ice. But
this enough to be done with.
This happens every day in basketball. I was going absolutely ballistic on Monday during the Michigan game because in the first 3 minutes of the second half, we had 6 fouls and the other team had 1. And wouldn't you know, 3 minutes later, it was 6-6. I mean, it's,
college basketball officiating has been atrocious this year anyways.
It's
because they
everywhere.
do not call blocking fouls anymore. Everything's a charge.
Yeah. There's no consistency. None. 0.
And I don't know if y'all saw the highlight. I obviously wouldn't watch the game because it's a terrible product, but the women's college basketball playoffs, there was a call, and it reminds me of everything I've been watching in the men's. It's obviously the same refs go to the same schools where first of all, it was about to be a huge upset. I guess Texas A&M is a very good women's team this year, and they were a 2 seed. I forget who they were playing as the 15 seed, but the first thing that was called was a terrible charging call that just there's no way in God's green earth that was a charging call. It should have been an and 1, which would have actually given the 15 seed a 1-point lead. Okay. Anyways, they don't get the call, and then later in the game, this one's even more atrocious. They go to inbound the ball, and the ball, who is touched by the A&M player, well, as she's dribbling it, she dribbles it into the backcourt, and they said, no, it's a no call because she didn't really have control. She was dribbling the damn thing. She was dribbling the damn ball, but she didn't have control. And you want the same weight rooms as everybody else. Kiss my ass. It's the weight room's fault. She would have had more control over the ball. Wouldn't have went to the backcourt if she would have had,
So we're all in agreement that tennis has the greatest officiating. They get it right.
Yes. I mean, I honestly think they do.
Yeah. They were the first ones.
I mean, how do we get this implemented? I want things of their that they use implemented across all sports.
Well, but the difference is tennis is a very easy sport to officiate once they got it electronic.
Yep.
It became you don't get charging calls in tennis. Not since the days of John McEnroe was anyone charging anything. So that's
the next one that's coming
first downs, touchdowns. I'm just saying there's a lot of things we can use. Did he step on the baseline? Did he dribble it out? Was it goaltending? Was the ball going up or down? I mean, there's just so many things we could use across basketball. I mean, you could bring it into baseball, but then I'm going to get to purists just to purely unload on us this morning. But hell, I'll go with balls and strikes, fair and foul balls. I mean, why don't we know whether it caught chalk or not? I saw white. Why didn't the ump see it?
The robot umpiring is coming. They're still fine tuning the programming because it apparently has some issues with curveballs and sliders apparently at the margins of the plate when they've used it in the minors. But it's not wrong about fastballs and changeups. And the sooner Angel Hernandez does not have a job, the happier my life will be. So,
and in hockey, can we please fix offsides? Is it or is it not? Did it cross the goal line or did it not?
God,
we should be able to know in a scrum whether it goes over the goal line or not.
They just need to simplify the rules. The offside rule has changed 3 times in the last 10 years. It used to be, the puck came over before the defender. Now it's a skate. Before that, there was a variation of it where if the stick was over, it was offside. It's just have a rule and stick to it. So we all know what it is. That's been their biggest problem.
You know what this is? This is an elaborate scheme to get us to forget about the fact that Deshaun Watson's a creeper. That's what it's all.
Doing a great job at it, too, aren't they?
Nothing to see.
Somebody sent me a meme of Bill Cosby's face on his jersey, and I was done for hours. I mean, I was done for hours. I was out.
I have not seen that, but I am done now. That is. Please tell me it was offering pudding pops.
It was on Twitter, and somebody had had audio to it, and it was like, and you get under the quarterback, and then you give him the Jello pudding. And I was like, I was done, man. I was done for like 2 hours. I'll have to send it to you, Justin. I was toast.
Oh my God. I don't understand. I've been watching ESPN 2, and then over here, I think that is the CBS, but it may be Fox that I have over in the background. I haven't seen one damn thing about Deshaun Watson since we started this show at 8 a.m. Eastern. Nothing to see over here, guys. Nothing to see over here. And I was talking about this yesterday with a friend, and I said, what if this was Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, man.
It would be plastered everywhere. What if this was Tom Brady? My God, can you imagine? I mean, they've been waiting to take that dude down. If anyone lives in a glass house, it's that dude.
They tried to take him down for throwing the Lombardi Trophy 10 feet.
Right.
Trotted out the guy who made it.
That's a great.
Trotted out the guy who made its 70-year-old daughter going, my father would roll in his grave. You're almost dead too. Shut up.
Yeah. That's a great point. That went on for 8 days.
Yep.
But trying to sexually assault 16 women, that's hearsay. That's he said, she said. No, that's he said, she said, she said, she said, she said, she said, infinity. That's what that is. Oh, I cannot believe that the national media is not talking about this. It's almost like they are afraid. I don't know if it's got anything to do with this race. They're afraid that if they step over the line, that they're going to regret it down the road.
Oh God, that's what it is. And I'll answer that question for you as the least, to the right person in the show we do every week. That's it. They're absolutely terrified of Cancel Mountain and the woke flakes. I guarantee you that's what it is. That's why they're not saying anything about it. And also, we're going to trot out the whole innocent until proven guilty thing. Somebody, I'll send this to Justin too. It's a guy that I know locally here in Franklin, went to the same high school as me. Put up the Kip Winger 17 gif and said, he's only 2 away. It's like, man, stop. Y'all got to stop. He's 2 away from 17 accusations. This was 3 days ago. I don't know. He might be at 20 by now. I've literally muted that whole conversation.
The last number I saw was 16. And Deshaun Watson's his lawyer keeps coming out with, well, this is definitely some kind of a ruse. And I'm like, dude, were there 16 people coming out? And I do get that there's a little bit.
Didn't his lawyer seem a little bit better call Saulish? I mean, he seems like Saul Goodman in that little press conference. So I mean, I'm definitely middle of the fence. I have no idea on this one. I mean, I'm worried. I'm
John Watson.
Agree with both of you. I'm surprised it's not being covered and at least talked about, because it should be, because I have no clue which way.
The one shard of glass I have in the back of my head is that the Texans are possibly the most inept and unprofessional football organization we've had in a long time. And that's a Lions fan saying that. So, I mean, are they really capable of this kind of
said it weeks ago, man. I firmly believe that. I think this is crazy coincidence, but I have no idea.
I don't buy it because they don't gain from it.
And then you had Saul Goodman, and I'm like, well, what is this about? How come you don't have any legal charges yet? I mean, I'm just asking a lot of questions here.
The thing is, it's a lot easier to get a quote unquote conviction in civil lawsuits than it is in an actual criminal lawsuit. Yep. So for them to get him on an actual conviction, they're going to have like, the bloody glove. Insert whatever pun.
But honestly,
let's not insert any
it's
puns.
only in civil that you get
he
monetary reward as well.
Thought you'd have been better off.
I mean, you don't get any monetary reward in criminal court, so and ironic, it's all in civil. I mean, we are talking about a rich athlete here,
right? But what I'm saying is, when you got this many of them, and there's many eyewitnesses accounts.
Well, you need 16 to get one to stick. They only need one.
Well, in the moron, if he was originally getting extorted supposedly for about $100,000. Dude, that's going to sound like chump change by the time they're done with his ass. And there's too much of this going on for there not to be at least one of these to be credible. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if some people are piggybacking off of this.
Yep.
But, just like before, weren't we told a couple of years ago, you got to believe the women because why would they make this up? And then Deshaun Watson gets accused and Andrew Cuomo gets accused. And it's like, well, I don't know. There could be some conspiracy drama. And I'm going, whoa, 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 whoa. What the hell happened to the original narrative that we had to listen to 3-4 years ago? You can't have it both ways. And so I'm just saying 16 people. Now, the only thing that I will give some question to is that they all haven't come public. Yep. But 16 of them, and they eventually will have to come public because you can't just file a lawsuit and go, I'm going to be anonymous. If that's the case, I'll put my hand in
and I think Texas, everything's aired in civil courts publicly.
Yep.
Yes.
So it's going to come out because it's all public in the state of Texas.
It's going to regardless because you can't take someone to court and be anonymous about it. So in other words, you and I can't attach our names to that lawsuit, try to get a payday. Say, no, but I don't want my name involved. I bet we could get a hell of a payday, Jesse. We attach our names to it. Deshaun Watson would not want that coming out. And even though it's only false, he'd pay us off. Because we don't need a picture of these two guys going. And then he tried to put his face in my butt. What?
I was sick that day.
Everyone's going to be sick that day. Okay, let's move on if we can.
Yeah, please.
I mean, Antonio Brown's starting to look like a rosterable character.
Man, Antonio Brown's looking great right now. He's like,
I need a wide receiver in Nashville. Is he eligible?
That's what I meant when I said I got a Lions fan over here saying at least I'm not a Texans fan. My offseason only consisted of, acquiring Jared Goff.
All I know is Deshaun Watson has put a new meaning to the term ass face.
Come on.
Dude, when you read that one account, you're like, he was doing what?
I'm good.
Now that makes never mind. I can't go there. But his little touchdown dance or celebration.
Let's move on.
Thing he does puts a whole new meaning to it.
Exactly. Come on, baby. You won't feel a thing. Let's go. What? All right. The Sweet 16. The new bracket is essentially out. If you want to fill one out, you can go to like ESPN and a couple of the others and try your chance at it. So I thought it'd be fun real quick. Justin, we're going to get yours because we might run out of time to get to Sean and I. We can do that on the other side of the break. But if you got yours pulled up, if not, I can walk you through it.
I've got it.
Okay. So who are you taking at the top of the Gonzaga Creighton is how I'm looking at it.
Gonzaga.
And then Oregon USC. This is a really interesting one.
Good game.
I'm going to go USC.
Okay. Florida State, Michigan.
The refs. Florida State.
Yeah, baby. UCLA, Bama.
Man, I want to do it, but I'm going to take Alabama.
And then who would you have for Arkansas, Villanova?
Baylor, Villanova.
I'm sorry, yeah. Baylor, Villanova.
Well, I have Arkansas, Villanova, so you can move both of those through.
Oh, okay. And then at the bottom, you got Loyola Chicago versus Oregon State and Syracuse versus Houston. Who's making it through that?
I'm going to go Loyola and Syracuse.
Okay. So who makes it to the Final Four?
Gonzaga, Alabama, Arkansas, and Loyola.
And who do you got winning it all and against who?
Damn it. I got Alabama beating Loyola for a national championship.
Woo!
Woo!
Alabama. Sean, we might actually have time to squeeze this in.
And then I'm running down south about 40 miles, and I'm setting dumpsters on fire in the great state of Alabama.
Sean, which 8 teams do you have going to the Elite Eight?
Okay, so I've got Gonzaga and Oregon. I'm really excited to watch that Oregon USC game. That's gonna be a hoot. You would think I'd be picking Michigan, but in our ACQB ESPN bracket, I've had Florida State in the Final Four for 3 weeks. So I actually think it's a bad matchup for Michigan. And if Dickinson gets in foul trouble early, there isn't anybody that's going to be able to handle Walker and Barnes. So I got Alabama, Florida State in the bottom of that bracket. I've got Baylor versus Arkansas at the top right-hand corner. And then I'm going crazy. I'm going crazy in the bottom because I had Illinois coming out of there, and that's not happening. So I'm going Oregon State and Syracuse.
That would be interesting. I'll tell you what, it'd be a hell of a story for Oregon State because they've had to win to keep their season alive from like 2 weeks ago.
And they're not a great watch. I mean, they muck it up, man. They play slow and like just get in your face, and we'll see how that works against that man-child Krutwig. So I've got Gonzaga coming out of their bracket. I mean, we'll get to it in a minute. I just think they're the best team going. Florida State coming out of their bracket over Alabama. I'm going to take Syracuse to come out of the bottom right-hand bracket. I think Boeheim's been sandbagging this whole time. And from the beginning, I've had Arkansas coming out of their bracket. I think that's the East. I can't remember exactly which one that is. So my national championship game is Gonzaga versus Arkansas, and I have Gonzaga winning it all.
All right. So I've got Gonzaga beating Oregon. I got a ride or die. I've got my Seminoles upsetting Michigan. I think it's going to be a tough game, but what I'm hoping is that their in your chest type of defense will be good enough, because Michigan's going to be able to score more than Florida State conventionally, but Florida State can score in the transition, and that's what that's their only way of beating Michigan. If this becomes a half court game and Michigan hits a lot of their shots, Florida State's going to be out of the league because they don't have a true point guard. And it's garbage to watch them try to play a half court game. It's like watching nothing but a bunch of freaking threes walk around going, I'm open. It's like, oh God. I've got UCLA upsetting at Alabama. They play a really good half court game. And I think that they are going to give Alabama fits. I do think Alabama's a really good team. It's the matchup. UCLA is a tough matchup. Villanova upsetting Baylor. Arkansas ending the Oral Roberts. The glass slipper breaks. I got Loyola playing Syracuse. So y'all, we all took Syracuse. There's no way in hell Houston doesn't win. And then I've got Oregon upsetting Gonzaga.
Ooh.
Florida State beating UCLA. So we'll finally we won't hear as much about the Pac-12 at this point. The Pac-12 hype is going to be boiling over when Oregon takes out Gonzaga, right? Villanova and Arkansas. I'm going to go ahead and lean with Arkansas. But I'll tell you what, man. Jay Wright, man. Yeah, he's no joke as a coach, and he's done
proven track record.
He's done crazier things. And I'm going to get Loyola to upset Syracuse. Well, I guess that's not really an upset. Loyola to beat Syracuse, and then Loyola is going to upset Arkansas to get to the national championship game. Florida State is going to, in my world, it's an upset to beat Oregon because Oregon's the Pac-12 champion. That's definitely the best conference in basketball this year. Florida State's going to have more athletes, and they'll be able to get past Oregon. And that's how Florida State wins the national championship, is they play Loyola over Chicago. Everyone's going to be pulling against us. Everyone's going to be pulling for Sister Jean, and we're going to break her heart and rip it out of her freaking chest and stomp on it. Seminoles, baby!
I'm not sure that's the message they want out there, but,
That probably is it. I will not be a spokesman that week for Florida State basketball.
Given the picks we just made, it's
all right. You got to return the outfit. You can't ride the horse and slam the spear this week. All right.
Yeah.
No Seminoles.
Given the picks we just made, it's almost guaranteed now we're going to get Gonzaga, Alabama, and Baylor, Houston.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
I'm going to hate it. I'm going to hate all of it.
Yeah, if we get a Gonzaga Baylor national championship game, I'm going to be a little bored because I don't really care who wins that one. It'll be it'll be a good game, but I don't really care who wins.
I'll be watching baseball.
I will probably pull for Gonzaga so they would just get that championship out of the way. We quit hearing about it, but it would also be kind of funny to watch them once again lose. So there you have that. Justin, what's your walk-off for the day, sir?
That this does not mean what I thought it did. Sorry for y'all that can't hear that at home. See you tomorrow, boys.
All right, brother.
Hey, Waller.
We'll be back in a flash here in the Armchair Quarterbacks. When we come back, we're going to talk some baseball. So keep it locked in here as we still got a lot to go. And let me get sure. Here we go. We'll see you in just a couple of seconds.
This place officially sucks worse than the WNBA.
And at the top of the second half, it's 16-9. Easton leads the scoring with 4.
And that's why she commands $7,000 a year. These gals sure do make it look difficult.
But is having this minor skill worth being so unattractive? That's for the fan to decide.
Yay!
Armchair.
CBS Sports Radio.
You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks, CBS Sports Radio, #1 sports station.
Good morning, and this is your Armchair Quarterbacks Sports Flash. The number of lawsuits against DESHAUN Watson reached 16 on Tuesday. The quarterback's lawyer, Rusty Hardin, said in a statement that his law firm has strong evidence showing that one of the lawsuits alleging sexual assaults is false and that it, quote, calls into question the legitimacy of the other cases as well, unquote. Hardin is now on record saying he believes that any allegation that DESHAUN Watson forced a woman to commit a sexual act is completely false. Last week, NFL spokesperson Brian McCarthy said the matter is under review and pertaining to the league's personal conduct policy, and the Texans said in a statement they would also stay in close contact with the NFL during the investigation. No punishment has been put forth as the case is still forming. The Washington football team name has gone from being a generic placeholder to one that will be strongly considered as a permanent one as the organization inches along in the rebranding. According to President Jason Wright, Wright stressed that there is a leading contender for the new name, and it's the Washington football team. Wright had previously said and reiterated during an interview on Tuesday that the Washington football team will remain in 2021. He said the permanent name would be in place for 2022. Right now, the organization announced in July that it would retire the former name, the Redskins, which it had used for 87 years. The organization will continue to accept submissions on the name and logo through April 5th of 2021. We've got a triple header in the NHL on NBC Network tonight. The Ducks and Wild at 5:30 Eastern. Then it's the Sabres taking on the Penguins at 8 o'clock. And at 10:30 Eastern, the Kings battle the Sharks. And in the NBA, ESPN has its own doubleheader. Celtics at the Bucks at 7:30 Eastern. And at 10 o'clock, it's the New Jersey Nets going out west to take on the Utah Jazz. And if you're looking for baseball action, there's a load of it on the MLB.TV streaming app. Mets and Cardinals at 1 o'clock, along with Phillies Tigers, Braves Pirates, Blue Jays Yankees, Twins versus the Rays. All of those games are a 105 first pitch. Also televised today at 4 o'clock Eastern. A's, White Sox, Royals, Angels, and Orioles versus Red Sox at 6 p.m. Eastern. The nightcaps at 9:10, you've got the Indians versus D-backs, 9:40 Cubs versus Mariners, and at 10:05, it's the Padres versus the San Francisco Giants. And that's your Armchair Quarterback Sports Flash. Stay tuned for more of the Armchair Quarterbacks radio show and YouTube Live. Please like, subscribe, and share our show today. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
It's your home speaking, and I need some favors. Could you turn on some of the lights in the basement? I'm scared of the dark. Also, this one is easy. Could you bundle your home and car insurance with Geico so we could save money? Last thing, just a suggestion. Could you steam clean the carpets? I need a spa day.
Geico. For bundling made easy, go to geico.com today.
Take the scenic route in the new Hyundai Santa Fe, the family SUV with available H-Track all-wheel drive to help you travel way off the beaten path. Find new adventures together in Hyundai Santa Fe.
Hi, this is Britney Spears. What up, this is Jay-Z. This is Jennifer Lopez. Armchair.
Good morning. Welcome back here to the Armchair Quarterbacks. CBS Sports Radio. As we come back to the screen, sometimes I forget that I turn my screen off. It's over here. I can't see it. I can see who I'm talking to here. So just a reminder to everybody, if you see me just yapping away and you can't see me, it's not intentional. It's just, I've totally forgotten about it. I don't even know when I turned it off. I hope it was at last break. I hope I didn't turn it off like at 8:30 in the morning. It's just been yapping. Like, who's this nut freaking talking from behind the screen? Sean, we got to get into this fast. Major League Baseball. I thought it'd be fun to talk about some sleepers and busts today in fantasy. And of course, one of the things that scares everybody is the news we saw yesterday that Fernando Tatis has a shoulder issue. He's being listed now at day-to-day. But man, that's never a good thing.
That's not what you want.
That is not what you want. If you draft him high, you have high expectations. He'll probably be okay. It's probably more of a being cautionary. But that puts a little doubt into me when I don't see those same reports about Juan Soto, Acuna, et cetera, et cetera. So already off the jump, I'm a little nervous about him. I have him in a keeper league. I'm more thinking of leagues that I don't have him. How high would I draft him? He's going number 1 overall in most leagues right now. Would that deter you if you had the number 1 pick?
So until proven otherwise, my top 3 are basically Acuna, Mike Trout, and Mookie Betts in some order. I really don't like to parse hairs on which order you take those 3 in, because I just think you're arguing over pennies at some point. You're really splitting hairs. If you get any one of those 3 guys, you're going to get incredible production. You'll maybe get more stolen bases out of Acuna than you do out of Trout at this point, but you're probably going to get more home runs out of Trout and walks than you would out of Acuna. Acuna still strikes out a little more than I would like. Betts is 5 tool and has great value all across the board, but I don't think is ever going to lead the league in home runs or runs batted in or stolen bases. So it's just like, he's like 5th for me, Tatis is, but if you're drafting him, 5th overall, especially if you're in an auction and you've paid that price, you're expecting that production. So, that's a big pill to swallow if he ends up even missing, the first month of the season. That's pretty harmful if you're in a roto league, especially.
I think the reason why he's being rated so high at number 1 overall in most fantasy pre-drafts is because if you look at the other 4 guys in the top 5, they all play the same position, whereas Tatis is a shortstop that you can get incredible. Now, the only thing I'll say about that is if you're saying, well, I'm putting him up there so high because it's hard to get that kind of production out of a shortstop, then why the hell are there 2 other guys in the top 10 that are shortstop?
Yeah.
Trey Turner, Trevor Story. I feel like you don't draft a guy just because of his position in the first round, but it's probably some of it's got the hype to do with it too, because he just signed the big contract. I do think he's a much more disciplined hitter than Ronald Acuna Jr. at this stage in his career, Ronald Acuna Jr. does not understand the game yet. He does everything he does off his incredible athleticism.
Yep.
But with that being said, in a keeper league, you damn right I want Acuna, right? I mean, what the hell are we talking about here? So, Trout's a little bit of both. Incredible athlete, but he's in that stage of his career where he's definitely done the film room, and Trout's not doing what he's doing without doing the book work. And Soto, I think, is the most complete hitter on that list.
Yep.
Kid has just,
agreed.
As much as I hate to admit that because he's a dirty Washington National, and he does that slide step crap that I'm just really wish someone would put one in his ear.
They're going to, don't worry. It's going to happen this year.
You gotta. Or if nothing else, when you strike him out, do a slide step to his ass.
I'll give you a shortstop name just to creep ahead to our sleepers. And we're both Braves fans. I'm decked out today. You mentioned that it's not a very deep position. It's not very deep, especially with offensive potential. But if you don't want to pay that high price for a Tatis or a Turner or a Story, you can get my man, Captain Dan, probably in the 12th, maybe 10th to 12th round. Had a career year.
He's like the 17th rated shortstop,
which I've never understood. He had a 30%, higher line drive rate,
class.
40. Yeah, it's a deep class. I mean, he had a really good year last year.
And also
probably
remember
the
this.
best year he's had as a Brave.
Remember this, not to cut you off, when you're talking fantasy, Machado, Bregman, Torres, and Marte all qualify at shortstop. So that's one of the reasons too. So let's really push him up to what he really is the 13th rated. As solid as he is, he's had injury bugs. He's had, Lieutenant Dan, as they call him, as much hype as he gets hot. He gets ice cold. Well, you got Tatis, Trey Turner, Story, Machado, Lindor, Bregman, Corey Seager, Bogarts. I'm not Bo Bichette. I think he's really good, really raw. But if it's a one and done year, I don't know if I'm drafting him over someone like Dansby. Javier Baez. How the hell is Javier Baez outside the top 10? Tim Anderson is overlooked. I'm not a personal fan of his because he has just said some really detrimental things about the game of baseball that I'm not a fan of. But he's a talent. And then way down at the bottom, Mondesi from Kansas City. If you're in a league that has statistics as opposed to just pure points, that guy's gold, man, because he is going to dominate the stolen bases. Carlos Correa, Marcus Semien in Toronto. What's he going to do? I mean, it's a loaded position, but I think the reason why the other guys are rated below him overall is because it's the impression that, man, you can get that at your shortstop and you're not looking at the whole thing. If you argue it across the board, because you have to have three outfielders, in theory, the shortstop is actually much deeper than the outfielder.
Right.
Because you go 30 deep on the outfield list, Sean, and well, actually, for instance, we just put Dansby Swanson around the 17th, right? If you multiply that by 3, you're sitting at 51. The bottom of the top 50 of the list I'm looking at right now is Tommy Edman. You try to tell me Tommy Edman, anything close to a Dansby Swanson, I really think it's actually a deeper position. Second base is the position where you struggle to find a lot of production once you get outside like the top 5 or so.
Yeah, you're taking risks. You're counting on career years from guys who've been in the league or young guys, who are getting either their first shot at a full season. There's just a lot of, there's a lot of Russian roulette going on at that position. You really don't know what you're going to end up with at the end of the year. Like any fantasy conversation, you're going to have to get a little bit lucky. And if you're going to do well in your league, it's going to be because you got lucky. You're going to get some guys that, fell backwards into career years. You know, I fell backwards into Danielson Lamet last year, and before he got hurt, he was nails. I mean, he struck out everything that walked up to the plate. I'm not counting on that happening again because he'd never done it before. So, you know,
well, I
like
will
with
say
anything,
this, I had him a couple of years ago before an injury bug took him out. He was dominant. Now back then he wasn't getting any run support, so he really went under the radar. But he can. It seems like he's gotten past the point of when I had him a few years ago, he was inconsistent, and I think he might have gone past that. We'll see how he comes back from this injury, but yeah, I get your point on that. So real quick, let's just go position by position and just give me one sleeper that you're like, I think this guy could have a better year than what he's being advertised with. Let's go with catcher.
Okay. I hate to say it, but I think James McCann is going to be really undervalued. Former Tigers prospect, had a really nice year last year for Chicago, has always been a really good hitter, but not a great hitter. And the Mets gave him, you know, big money to be their everyday battery man. I think if he doesn't get hurt, he's going to start 150 games. And at that position, the best ability is availability. So, you know, just having a guy that's going to start that many times, you know, it's going to suck if you overpay for a Grandal, you know, or I don't know, maybe a Mitch Garver is somebody that I think is going to get overpaid for based on his home runs last year. I would take James McCann.
I'll see your McCann and raise you a Dalton Varsho of Arizona.
Good one.
He's also available in a lot of leagues as a outfielder, and that is because he does play outfield from time to time, which is actually good for your statistics because it's less wear and tear on his knees. So I like him a lot. He's basically a prospect at this point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have much to go off of him. Last year he did play. He was very, very below what people expected, but they're expecting big things from this kid. And don't go off of last year's statistics. Go off of what his what he's being projected for this year. Dalton Varsho could be something special. First base, what you got?
So my first base guy is actually a popular name, but I didn't realize he was even in Kansas City when we did our projections a few weeks ago. I completely missed this. Carlos Santana, who's been around the league for a few years, you know, had a nice run in Cleveland, went out to Philly for a year, came back to Cleveland. I didn't realize he even signed with the Royals. He's eligible at first base in most leagues. I think he's going to DH more than he's going to play first necessarily this year. But a very, very reliable bat. I mean, he's gonna bop 25, and he's probably going to drive in 80 to 90. And I completely missed on that when we did our projections. But you were right; that lineup is actually a lot better than I thought it was. And you put him before or after Soler, you got some problems. So,
amen to that. I'm looking forward to next Wednesday. By the way, next Wednesday we'll be doing our predictions.
Let's go.
The playoffs, Cy Young, all that kind of stuff. So mark that on your calendars, y'all. I'm going to throw you a Josh Bell at you. He's going over to Washington. I think he's going to fit well in that lineup. Check what he's doing in the spring training. Now, granted, spring training, sometimes you get some taters thrown at you because the guy's just trying to work out his fastball. He's at 389 right now. 861 slugging. Now that's far above what he's projected for. He's projected for this year at 255 and 23 home runs. But anyone's watched Josh Bell hit, the guy's got a stroke and he's finally on a good team. So I really like Josh Bell's projections. What about second base? What do you like?
Second base, I'm going to give you Nick Madrigal, who's young second baseman for the Chicago White Sox. Is much more of a contact hitter. So if he's someone you target, go into it with your eyes wide open, knowing that what you're getting is not 20 home runs and 90 runs batted in, but you're going to get a lot of on base. You're going to get a lot of walks. You're going to get a lot of hit by pitch. You're going to get a lot of singles, and he's going to get to home plate a lot in that lineup with the guys that are behind him. Figures to slot into the 2 spot, or possibly even lead off. He's going to be somewhere after Tim Anderson but before Abreu, Jimenez, all the boppers that they have in the middle of the lineup. So Nick Madrigal doesn't get hurt. It's going to be the second baseman all year. And I think we'll give good production for you at a really, really value price.
I am going to go with a guy that's usually outside the top 10 in most people's lists. He had a bad year last year. I think he could bounce back and in a big way, especially because this offense has improved. So he's bound to benefit from that. And that's Jeff McNeil of the New York Mets. He was absolutely, look, he's been terrible in spring training. I've got no reason to think he's turning it around, but
he was great in 19. He's great in 19.
He's batting 094 right now in spring training. And I can't say, well, that's a small sample size. The bastards had 32 at bats, 40 plate appearances. So it's not helping my argument. But when you go back to what he did in 2019, where he hit 318, the year before 329, you can put him, he's a doubles machine. He had 23 home runs in 2019. Now, last year, he still had a decent batting average, but he did not have near the pop. And so that hurt him quite a bit in the projections for this year. But that's the guy that I like. See where are we at next. The next position is third base. Who do you like at third base this year as a sleeper?
So a guy I like at third base a lot, who I think is really, really underrated, and might actually get an opportunity to play third base a little bit more this year, but he'll get you some positional flexibility because they'll throw him in left field and they'll throw him at first base as well. Is my guy, go get it out of the ocean. Max Muncy of the LA Dodgers. Love the way this guy hits. Not a traditional left-handed hitter, like actually hits left-handers much better than he hits right-handers, especially for power for whatever reason. I think he's poised for a big year for what is probably going to end up being, a runaway locomotive of the best team in baseball if they don't suffer a bunch of injuries. Really like Max Muncy. Had him on my team last year, had him in 2019. Big fan, and I think really, really undervalued. He's usually the 12th or 13th highest rated third baseman. I think his production's better than that.
The next guy on my list, 35 years old now, had a terrible 2020, signed a big contract. Braves dodged this bullet, but he's being projected. He's being projected at 19 home runs this year in a 162 game season. I don't see it. Not in that park, in that lineup. Josh Donaldson. I think for the value, because you're going to be able to get him late in the draft. Don't go out there. I'm not telling you draft a son of a gun in the seventh round. I'm saying late in the draft, if you're looking for a utility guy that can slide into the third base role, he could be a steal. He might flatten out. This might be the end of his career, and Minnesota is going to be regretting the day that they signed him. But his struggles last year were because he couldn't stay healthy.
Yeah.
So we move on to the next one. We've already talked about shortstops realistically, so let's go ahead and go past that. You got Dansby Swanson. I'll throw one at you real quick. That's always very underrated in my book. And Carlos Correa sitting at 15th overall in shortstops. Get the hell out of here. That guy's the 15th best shortstop. Come on.
And it's a contract year for him. Love that contract year bump. Always.
Outfielders. Give me your first outfielder. We'll probably do two of these.
Okay. The first one I'll give you is an outfielder that I hate taking two Mets as a Braves fan, but man, I really like Dominic Smith. I've had my eye on this guy for a couple of years. I still don't know if he's going to be a Met after the trade deadline because I just don't know where they're going to find at bats for him with the outfield that they have and with the polar bear at first base. I wonder if they're going to have to flip him, for a pitcher at some point.
They will, because they believe, like most National League teams believe, that there's going to be a DH in 2022, and he's perfect.
I agree.
For the role.
Yep, he's perfect. I mean, he's got bat for days. He's got a lot of sock in that bat, hits left-handers really well. I mean, I watched this guy hit a ball out in Chase Field off of Zach Greinke that should not have been a home run, and he busted it into the pool back in 2018. Really big fan of Dominic Smith. And if he stays upright, stays healthy, you can forget pretty much everybody's numbers for last year. I think he's poised for a big season and could almost be the Ozuna light of that division this year if they give him enough at bats to do so. So
I'm going to go with the Yaz, Mike Yastrzemski. He's sitting down there at number 35. I think he's a little undervalued. Doug and I have talked about him a couple of times this year. I think he's in a good park to be able to hit. It works well with his stroke, and he can be a good find later in the draft. Give me one more outfielder, and then we'll switch to pitching.
Okay. Someone I like in San Diego a lot more than I like the big names is Trent Grisham. If you Google Trent Grisham, the first thing you're going to see is him running past that Soto single when he was with the Brewers, because that's the first thing that comes up. But depending on where you're looking, he's on some boards I've seen below Teoscar Hernandez and Arozarena. And I just believe a lot more in what he did last year. And in that bat, hits left-handers well, figures to slot in as their everyday right fielder. And kind of a similar situation in San Diego where they've got him, Cronenworth, Will Myers. They've got more outfielders than they really need there. But I think he's going to get 500 at-bats this year, and it's going to pop.
I'm going to go with Kyle Lewis, the defending AL Rookie of the Year. He's way down on the board. He's down at number 38, and I value him more than some of the other guys who are in front of him.
Wow.
Because when I see him, I see a guy that can probably hit around 30 home runs this year. His batting average will probably be in the 260s. That's what he's hit so far in his first two abbreviated seasons in the big leagues, and probably an RBI guy around like 90 maybe. But he's going to score runs. He's going to get on base. He's going to be a solid addition, and he's young. So if you're going into a dynasty league, you're actually going to have to put him up the ring a little bit because he won't be there long in a dynasty league. But if it's a straight, he's being valued right now in the late 30s for outfielders, and I think I would put him above guys like Byron Buxton. I think I would put him above guys Will Myers. I'm not drafting Will Myers over Kyle Lewis. Are you kidding me?
ESPN has him below Drew Mountcastle of the Orioles. Are you kidding me?
Everyone right now is like Googling who the hell that is.
I'm like, give me a break.
That's terrible.
When's the last time you watched an Orioles game? Good Lord.
I haven't watched an Orioles game if the Braves weren't involved, unless I was at gunpoint since like the book so someone would have to break into my house and put a pistol right at me. You can watch the Orioles. You're gonna do it now. You better not slip, man. If you slip, I'm taking that gun and we're gonna go back to watching real baseball. We're coming up on the end, so let's go ahead and throw some pitchers out there. Give me a couple starting pitchers that you like.
Okay. First one I really like. I like Zach Wheeler to kind of have a bounce back year. He's not exactly what I would call a sleeper. I mean, he's in the top 25 on most boards, but I think he's got top 10 to 15 stuff. I mean, his stuff is every bit as good as the ace of the Philly staff is. It's never materialized yet for whatever reason. All those years with the Mets, it didn't. I think this could be a big year for him. We'll get to this next week, but I'm really bearish on that division.
He's 28th on the list I see. Yeah, that's kind of low.
That's kind of low. The other one I'll give really quick is just a relief pitcher, because saves are going to be just the weirdest. This could be the weirdest year ever for saves because there's so many dudes that are coming off, interesting seasons. I've got Matt Barnes of the Boston Red Sox as their closer. I don't think the Red Sox are going to be very good, but sometimes those are exactly the guys that you want for saves, because when they do win games, it's like a nail biter and it's by a run, and they're just going to back into 30 of them more often.
And there's a very good chance that he gets traded at the deadline too. So
that's also possible.
Halfway through the year, he might get leaped into the closing role somewhere in like Atlanta or something like that. So yeah.
Just every year I see people overpay for saves with Chapman, or this year it'll be Hader and Hendricks. And you just don't need to spend that money there. You need to spend it other places. That's a place where you can get a lot of saves for $1, $2, $3. You don't need to spend $15.
All right, I'll throw a couple of names at just a couple of deeper dives. This guy is 48th on the list. Pablo Lopez of the Miami Marlins. He's a solid pitcher. If you're looking for someone to take over and to take over in a big way, him and his teammate for that matter, Sixto Sanchez, he's sitting at 42, and that guy's got ace kind of stuff. So I definitely have my eye on them. And then another one that I like that's a little higher up on the boards that I think is still not getting his due, even though he is, and he's going to go fast in our drafts because he's a Brave, and that's Max Fried. He's 20th overall, but this guy came in second place in the Cy Young voting last year. So you got to put him up a little bit higher on the list. I'll tell you someone who's overrated. I don't know if I want Zach Greinke at 24th.
No.
There's some guys that are behind him on this list that I would rather have than Zach Greinke.
I'm staring at. I know we got to run. Soroka's 50th on ESPN's list. I know he's coming off an injury, but like, am I the only one that's watched Mike Soroka pitch? Soroka.
Soroka. It's because they don't expect him until
until June. June or July. I get that, but like he's the ace. So that's weird.
But when you think about taking a guy fairly high and you're not going to get him the first 2 months, it really devalues him because you're like, he comes back, but what the hell has he done to me? It's time to turn back. Yeah. So, but yeah, as far as talent wise, he should be top 20-ish, give or take. He's not. He's also not a strikeout guy, so I think that's why he loses quite a bit of his oomph when it comes to the preseason rankings. It's time to turn back time, birthdays, and get the hell out of here as we do our walk-offs. So here we go. All right. On this date, in 1961, the New York Senate approves a $55 million baseball stadium at Flushing Meadows that would house the New York Mets the following year. So, man, can you imagine being able to build a baseball stadium for $55 million today? Of course, they got what they paid for. But there were a lot of great baseball memories in that park. On this date 1 year ago, somber one, Japan's prime minister announces the postponement of the 2020 Olympics and Paralympic Games until the summer of 2021 because of the pandemic. All right, birthdays. It's your birthday. Oops. All right, here we go. It's your birthday today. Pick this one out because you're on the show today, Sean. Man, is he really 77 years old today? Denny McClain, great Detroit Tiger pitcher. He won the AL Cy Young in both 68 and 69. He's the last 30-game winner, y'all. I don't know if we'll ever see that again. It would take someone extremely hot, considering the most they get ever nowadays is like 35 starts for someone to be able to get that. Also, 45th birthday for some guy by the name of Peyton Manning. And, of course, Peyton Manning, two-time Super Bowl champion. There's a lot of people that will argue that he's the greatest of all time. I would not, but there are some homers, some Tennessee homers and some, Colts fans or whatnot that will tell you he's the greatest. But definitely up there. And had all kinds of records when he retired. They'll slowly be knocked down because the game has changed. The game continues to change. What is your walk-off for the day, sir?
I will bookend our women's basketball coverage by congratulating the University of Michigan women's team for making the first Sweet 16 in the university's history. Congratulations to them. And then I'll just pop the T-shirt again. 8 days until opening day. I cannot wait. Actually, during our commercial breaks, I was looking up tickets because we're going to Atlanta at the end of July. I haven't been to Truist yet, so I want to be there for Hank Aaron weekend, which I think will be a lot of fun. They're playing the Braves that weekend, which is my son's favorite team for whatever reason. Don't ask me why. So just can't wait for baseball to start, man. Can't wait for next week for us to do our predictions. It's the Milwaukee Brewers. Christian, he loves Christian Yelich. He tagged on to Christian Yelich, has his jersey. I'm cool with that. If you fall in love with the player and that's why you like a team, like that's
he can have a bounce back year as well. You know,
I felt for the Braves as a kid because they were on TV, but really because of Dale Murphy. So I understand the sentiment there. So
it's only been a couple of years where Christian Yelich was being argued as the number 1 pick overall in fantasy baseball.
He had a really tough year last year, and I think there were a lot of analytical warning signs that maybe pitchers had figured him out. I'm not putting any stock in anything anyone did last year. Really, I'm not. I'm looking at 19.
Well, he's
numbers.
also being moved to left field, so I think that'll be lesser on him on wear and tear and whatnot, so he can focus more on hitting. He's definitely a candidate that when they hit the 2022 season, he'll probably go to DH because they want to keep his stick. I mean, the kid's a really good hitter, you know, despite his flaws of coming from the Marlins. My walk-off today is baseball. There are some pretty good matchups on MLB.tv today. Also, the Braves are going to be on MLB Network. So if you get MLB Network, you don't even need MLB.tv. The Braves are the 1:00 game today as they are taking on the Pirates.
Yep.
And that'll be on MLB Network. So I'm gonna get some more baseball and do your due diligence and get some mock drafts in. I even go to ESPN. As much as I hate their fantasy, I go to ESPN with my dummy account and draft in real drafts just to practice for the real thing. I'm not going to keep up with these teams. I could care less about ESPN fantasy. It's trash. But we've got 4 drafts going on in 2 days coming Sunday, Monday. You've got a big draft on Saturday that
big draft.
Dude, you're going to be in a hard way, man, because Trosh explained what the rules were of that, and I'll be pulling for you, and I'm going to be asking you all about what's going on in that league all year long. But you're going to be hard pressed to do anything the way those keeper rules are set. I mean, to come in and you told me how that roster looked. Good luck to you. I might give you some hints of guys that I've got going into Saturday. Remind me, I'll shoot you a small list of guys that should be available considering your league. And I guess you're pretty much donating your $100 this year to hopefully win down.
I'm probably donating it for the next 2 years to build a dynasty down the road. That's when you're in a high dollar dynasty. It's
so there's 10 teams. Is it winner take all or is there a second?
No, it's top 3. Yeah, it's top 3 pool. So
well, you might be able to work. And is it a points league or is it a roto league?
It's roto dynasty 5x5. Yeah. Yep. It's a donation for this year, next year, but I've already traded for, you mentioned him a few minutes ago. I traded for Sixto Sanchez this week. So, I mean, I'm playing the long game with this one. So
nice. Okay. What'd you have to give up?
So I gave up Trey Turner hold on. There's a reason. Because it's contractual, the only way I could keep Turner this year was to franchise him at double his salary. So I traded him for Matt Manning, Sixto Sanchez, and a 3rd round reserve pick, which is basically the 3rd round of the snake. So I traded him for 15 years of contract control when I was only going to have Turner for 1 in a season.
You these guys for 15
Well, you can.
years?
So if they don't meet their minor league, if they don't meet their innings pitched or at-bat requirements, they stay on your roster as a minor league player for $0 until they do, or until you cut them. So Sixto barely fell under last year, so I can contract him for at least the next 3 years. Manning, I'll have for at least the next year and then another 3, and then you can franchise him after that. So you can basically hold a guy for about 5 or 6 years before you have to super pay him. So
I'll tell you what, by year 5, if Sixto isn't an elite starter, then something's went terrible wrong.
I think he'll be elite this year, but that's another story.
Yeah, exactly. All right, brother. We'll see you next week. Next week, we're going to be diving into nothing but baseball. Of course, we'll talk a little Final Four. Hopefully one of our teams is in it. But that's going to be the luck, is it's going to be UCLA, and then you go, son of a. But pretty much we'll be doing baseball all weekend. I don't believe Justin will be with us next Wednesday, so if you want to jump on early, feel free. All right.
I'll be happy to. See you then.
Yep, we'll see y'all tomorrow. We got Joey joining us tomorrow, and we'll be talking some
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to
Sweet 16.
We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired, we'll talk to you then. Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on these CBS Sports affiliates and catching the show on YouTube Live. We're here weekdays, 8 a.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. Find Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live today. Please subscribe and share and take us everywhere you go. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for Southern sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Can I get another cigarette, please? Can I get another cigarette, please? Yeah, I know.